Why flying? Who put you into flying? How'd that all come about?
So Tony Thornton. So I was down in Dallas, and he was telling us all about how he just barely missed out on his check ride. He ended up, the examiner wanted him to do a little bit better on his airspace. It was terse airspace that tripped him up. There's not a whole lot of terse airspace. Great Falls, Montana actually has some. It's gray. So anyhow, that kind of tripped him up, and he was talking about it, and I was like, you know, this guy's 55 years old, and he's out there, and I said, man, I've always wanted to fly, and I've always wanted to fly ever since I was 15 years old, and Tanya's uncle, my wife's uncle, took us up. I think he had a Piper Arrow, and took us up at the Powell Airport. And man, I just loved it. I thought, oh wow, that'd be so awesome to do that, but you know, it's that whole, oh, I'm not smart enough, I don't have enough money, I don't have the time, whatever the excuses are. And he said, you know, I mean, I'm looking at a guy that's, you know, got a few years on me, in his mid-50s, he's got a decade on me, and he's learning. He was talking about how it's kind of changed his life and opened up some doors, and I just kind of at that same time I knew about some other people. You found out about some other people that were in the same area as I was in their life and learning how to fly, and I thought, well, you know what? See, he said, you know what? Stop talking about it and do it. You know, and that was all it took. It just took somebody saying, hey, you know what? Get up off your butt. Stop talking about doing things and actually go out and do them. And that's one of our biggest problems as human beings is we like to talk about things, but we're always going to come up with excuses of why we can't get them done. So he did that, and as soon as I got home from Dallas, I went to Choice Aviation.
There were 36 Mike Dempsey around it.
And took an introductory flight, which was interesting. You know, he's like, yeah, $75 will take you up and show you what flying's all about.
100 Golf X-ray, contact Denver Center 133.17.
Of course, they stick your right seat, or left seat immediately. And I'm like, ooh, I don't think, no, I was just going to go up and you guys were going to fly around and
Yeah.
I was just going to ride along. No. So put your feet on the pedals and hands on the yokes and let's go. Like, you realize I'm not qualified, right? Like, I don't know. And so I'm used to driving a skid steer, and skid steer is completely different. And I was all over the taxiway and I was taxiing like a drunk. Get up there, and you know, the first time you grab the yoke and you're off the ground, I mean, everything just seems so dramatic. You know, just a little bit of a bank right or a little bit of a bank left, and you're like, oh golly, I don't like this. You get the same thing in a boat, like, you just want to stay straight and level. That's all you really want to do. Anyhow, made it through that, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, it was terrifying, but fun at the same time. So that got me into it, and I just saw so many opportunities with our business, the way we were going with business, and the fact that we do service so many gate operators, and driving there's 5 hours one way, and it's just horrible. You know, when I only need to be somewhere for an hour or 2 hours, and it takes me 5 hours to get there and 5 hours to get home, you know, I burn up so much time. And so a plane...
Yeah, 4120 cross lander at maintain 13,000, then we're altimeter 3026.
A plane has really opened up a lot of doors to be able to go do things faster and claw back a lot of that time. You know, when I was younger, my time wasn't worth anything, but the older I get and the busier I get, the more valuable my time is. And so this really frees that up. You know, sometimes in this plane, sometimes I can beat the airline, sometimes I can't. I get
4120, that was how do you read?
So Alan's going to leave. He has to leave his house at 6 o'clock this morning from Cheyenne, drive to Denver, get on a plane, and he'll get in Indianapolis about a half an hour after us, maybe an hour after us, somewhere in there. But then he has to drive all the way down. We'll already be there, and I hauled you, and the fuel that we're going to spend is probably less than a plane ticket, and we save some time and hassle, and you know, we're all rested, so not a bad deal at all.
So where was the point where you transitioned? You were like, hey, flying's a lot of fun, and then you were like, you know what, this is really useful.
That didn't take me long to figure out that this could be useful. If I could get a little bit bigger plane, it'd be even more useful because I could fly crews around. You know, I could transport our crews from, because a lot of times we'll work on a big project out of town, and so they're driving. Like this week, several of them drove down to Cheyenne. That's a 2-hour flight in this plane. And if I could haul, you know, if I could get something with a little bit more useful load, and I could haul 4 guys around, You know, instead of paying them to drive for 5 hours times 4 guys, I could go down there, pick them up, and drop them off, and save a ton of time for them so that they get more time with their families and stuff. And that's really what's appealing to me. So this is the Super Viking is just a step on the road to where I really want to be, in a Malibu or you know, like a Beechcraft Bonanza A36 or B36, something like that. I'd really like to get a 6-seat, and then my family could come with me. We've got, you know, the 3 boys, and then Tanya 9. She wants something with air conditioning before she's going to be really interested in flying with me.
So what made you decide on the Super Viking for your first plane?
A friend of mine was selling one, and I was looking at a Mooney. It was a little bit more expensive, and we just didn't come to a deal. And I said, you know, if this deal falls through with the Mooney, then I'm going to go with the Viking that my friend's got. And seemed like a good plane. It had,
good morning, and 10 Fox 200.
you know, for my mission, I wanted to be able to get places fast, and this fit the bill. It's fast, fairly fuel efficient.
The flight service sounded like people were calling, try me again.
So we're burning 12.6 gallons an hour right now, which isn't horrible.
Yes, 5066, Center, welcome.
The Moonies are a little bit more fuel efficient, and they're very close to the same speed.
154, Center, welcome.
We're cruising right now. Ground speed's 172 knots. You know, so we're cooking right along here.
Yes, 5066 flight, present heading.
Just because we've got about a 22 knot tailwind, but coming back will be a different story. That'll be a bummer. Yeah, we are cooking right along. I like it. Yeah, I just needed something speed. I didn't, you know, 182 is fine, but you're going to be lucky. I mean, 140. So I'm picking up 25 knots, probably pretty easily over a 182.
Yeah.
And fairly similar useful loads. Not a lot different. 182 might have just a touch higher useful load. Good range, you know, I can fly for 5 hours. Depending on where I cruise at, you know, we've got about 6 hours of fuel on board.
Cargo like 79 Zulu there, so welcome.
And this thing just handles great. That's the one thing everybody will always tell you about a Super Viking is just how responsive they are, how well they handle, how smooth they are. Bad turbulence, you know, and I don't experience it out here in the Midwest, but bad turbulence in the Midwest is just like you'll get a little bit of yaw and maybe a little bit up and down. In Wyoming, it's a whole different story, but yeah, we've hit turbulence so hard that my head's hit the ceiling in the Cessna 172.
No, Center, lower, shuttle 5763, 1000, climbing 1660.
Go fly in the winter there.
Air Shuttle 5763, Denver Center, climbing 350.
That's where I did all my
350.
IFRs, so when you're getting bounced around that bad, that'll teach you to respect the good smooth days for IFR approaches.